In these problems, we're going to be applying another differentiation rule. And in this case, it's when you have something divided by something else, and this is a quotient, and we have something called the quotient rule, which will make these a lot easier to do. What the quotient rule says, and this one's a little bit complex, you might want to jot this down and keep it next to you as you do these problems, but it basically says the derivative of one function divided by another function is the lower function times the derivative of the one on top minus the one on top times the derivative of the one on the bottom, all over the function on the bottom squared. And sometimes people make up a little mnemonic device. They call this low, the g of x low and the f of x high, and they say low d high minus high d low, all over low squared. So if that helps you, you can try that out too. I usually actually say that jingle in my head whenever I use the quotient rule, but let's try applying this. So we've got our low down here and our high up here. So low d high is the first part of this. So dy dx equals low, that's 4x squared plus 6, times the derivative of what's on the top, d high. So that's 12x to the third minus 7. Now the next part on the top is minus the reverse order. So instead of low d high, it's high d low. So this would be 3x to the fourth minus 7x plus 1. And d low is going to be 8x. Now all of that is going to go over low squared. So we take the whole thing on the bottom, 4x squared plus 6, and we square it. And that is the quotient rule. It ends up looking pretty complex. Sometimes you can do some simplification. In this place, we're not going to worry about that. Let's look at one more. All right, here we've got some multiple choice, so we can maybe use process of elimination to get some of these. And we've got something that looks pretty complicated, but it is a quotient, so we can use the quotient rule. One thing I would probably do is rewrite this 1 over x as x to the negative 1. So we could write this as y equals negative 4 minus x to the negative 1 over x minus 1. It might make it a little easier when you're applying the power rule to take derivatives. So let's see what happens when we try our quotient rule. The quotient rule says low times d high, low d high. So low is x minus 1. D high, well, the negative 4 is going to disappear, and then we've got, well, we'll take this negative 1, multiply it by the negative sign, and that's a positive x to the negative 2. And then minus high d low, so this is negative 4 minus x to the minus 1. And d low, well, x minus 1, the derivative of that is really just 1, so we can leave that the way it is. And this all goes over low squared. Now that's our first step, but this doesn't really look exactly like what we've got up here. So we're going to have to do some shuffling things around. One thing I would like to do, well, let's go ahead and put that minus sign through first of all. That's the first simplest thing. So that would be plus 4 and plus x to the minus 1. And we've got x minus 1 squared. Now, what I'd like to do is get these x to the negative power terms out of the numerator. I'd like to get them into the denominator. And what I think I'm going to do is multiply the top and the bottom by x squared. On the top, this term right here, that x squared and that x squared are just going to cancel, so that one will go away. Then I would multiply the 4 times the x squared, so I've got x minus 1 plus 4x squared. And then when I multiply x to the negative 1 times x squared, I just get x. You can think of that as adding the powers, or you can think of this as x squared over x, and this is our x minus 1 down here. Either way, it comes out to x, so that's plus x. That's looking a little simpler on the top. On the bottom, I just get x squared times x minus 1 squared. Now we just need to simplify a little bit on the top. We've got two x's, so we'll combine those like terms, and I'll just put it in descending order. So 4x squared plus 2x minus 1 over x squared times x minus 1 squared. So that looks pretty simple, and let's see. Yeah, it looks like that is choice A. So that is a little bit of work with using the quotient rule. My name is Larry. I'm a teacher at EdVision's Off Campus. It's an online project-based school in Minnesota. If you're interested, you can check us out on the web at lovethisSchool.org. Thanks.